Hello, Elevated Mama, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to be here. So, today, what I'm going to be teaching you is something revolutionary that is going to 10x your business. It's going to 10x your impact. It's going to give you your time back, and it's going to allow you to finally get some cooperation from your kids and from your partner and anybody else in your life using relationship dynamics. Because, sometimes when we're trying to plan a launch or we're trying to get a project finished, the kids aren't cooperating. And we want to figure out how are we going to plan for those moments when everything hits the fan. You know what I'm talking about, that whole work-life balance thing? It's a myth, right? Not necessarily. I found a little hack over the summer. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I discovered it. I'm going to tell you more about myself because you probably haven't heard of me. If you didn't see the post that I put out earlier in the week, then you don't know my whole story. But I'm going to tell you just the little snippet of it. And then I'm going to show you how to create your very own coaching bot. And as you can see, my little cat is trying to get in on this too because she's so excited. So basically, I'm just going to start sharing my slides and I'm going to tell you who I am, how I came to be here. I also was a guest on Driven Moms Answering Adversity with Jessica. She actually reached out to me and she's like, your story is fascinating. I'd love to have you on the podcast. So I did that. She's also been inside of my own group sharing her story because what I do is I am a birth empowerment coach. So that is actually my book behind me. And my cat is still doing this crazy thing. It's insane. And I published that book way back in 2023. I've had quite the journey, let me tell you. The last 5 years have just been phenomenal for what I've learned. And then recently, within the last few years, my mentors have really been into AI. I know if you haven't been checking out ChatGPT or you've been using it as just a glorified Google search or a virtual AI assistant that doesn't cost you any money, then let me just tell you, you are just barely hitting the surface, my friend. There is so much more to uncover with ChatGPT, and I have technically made it my best friend. And I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. But first, let me just tell you who I am. Okay, so before we get started, my name is Carly Bonderud. I'm a childbirth educator and a women's empowerment coach. I have just over 10 years experience helping women get past their fears so they can plan and get their dream natural birth and prove that their bodies actually work. Most of my clients are women that are in their late 30s, early 40s. They've been told that they are high risk or that they shouldn't plan a natural birth. They feel like they're being put into this category of mom who needs to have interventions, and they don't want that. And I basically come in and I show them how to advocate for themselves. I get their partner on board, and ultimately they have these beautiful true natural births, which you could read about inside my book, Your Empowered Birth, because I do share my stories of my clients. I'm also a mother of two very high energy kids that are aged 11 and 8. Now, my daughter has dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, and ADHD. My son probably has about similar. He has gotten better with his writing. He has gotten better with his reading. However, it's still not his strong points. And he did have a lot of hyperactivity when he was younger. He still has a couple of things where he has that resistance. I mean, he's 11. So it can sometimes be a little bit of a power struggle to get him to follow instructions, to do some chores. The house can sometimes be a mess. So I'm not perfect either. I'm a single mom right now. I'm taking care of my kids and I've been building my coaching practice. And I'm really looking to go to that next level and scale my business now that I have proven my concept. As I said, I'm also the author of the book, Your Empowered Birth. And I also write romance novels for fun. So there's something that I've been working on for the last several years, even before my son was born. I'm on like chapter 9. And it's one of those little hidden talents that I have. So I'm very multifaceted. I love to take my kids to the beach as soon as the warm weather hits or go by myself. And I love to work virtually. And another thing about me that's a little bit fun is I love to freestyle on my social media on everything from women's empowerment, personal growth, pop culture, and fairy tale references and how they tie into success. I have a few concepts that I came up with, including the glass slipper method and the elevator kiss theory, which basically means that once you see it, you can't unsee it and you need to just go for it. And this ties into business, this ties into life. And then the glass slipper method is also how I attract my clients to me because I have this concept that I learned from my mentor, which you'll hear about in a minute, called moving the free line. So if you do want to check that out, though, I do have a personal YouTube channel. It's called Carly Bonderud Uncensored, and you can go and check out those videos. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I just like to put this stuff out there because aside from birth, I really believe that birth is a metaphor for life. And when you have an empowered birth, you're an empowered mom for life, and then nobody can take your power away from you ever again. So that leads to my mentors who helped me get started in my coaching practice. Because when I first came to them back in 2020, I had no idea about marketing. I had no idea how to run a business. I had just written a 90,000 word behemoth of a rough draft manuscript. I had no idea how to get it out there. I had a little Facebook group that I had about maybe 50 people in. I was going live, but I didn't know how to really present myself as somebody who knew their stuff. Even though I'd had 10 years of experience basically understanding psychology and the birth industry and all of it had culminated, I just needed that little bit of a push. And so these amazing mentors, Eben Pagan and Annie Lala, they took me under their wing over the next several years. I quickly rose up within the community as a star student, going through their lower level programs all the way up to the highest level of virtual coach accelerator. Then I built my coaching practice within that time frame when I was still in the lower levels by about mid 2021. So in June, I got my first high paying client. And then from that point on, I was proving my concept and it worked even better than I thought possible. Then I spoke on their success panel on stage in January of 2023, which was my very first time on stage. I was so nervous. And at the end of it, they're like, that was a 10. Like for having done that only this first time, that was a 10. They were really, really impressed with me. We're still very good friends today. I still keep in touch with them. I support them on their events. They have something for the alumni students of Virtual Coach Accelerator where we actually attend a little summit at their house where we're just basically hanging out, we're learning, and this ties into what I'm going to be teaching you as well. Because Evan is the master in marketing and Annie is the queen of conflict resolution in close relationships. She's a true love coach. She helps skeptics believe in true love. And, you know, if you're not following her on Instagram, I highly recommend it because it will help you in navigating your relationship with your partner if you have one, or calling in the one if you're still looking. And then also they taught me the cutting edge of how to use ChatGPT through the program that Eben was teaching, Upgrade, which was an all-day workshop back in 2023. So Eben originally discovered just how powerful ChatGPT was. He was also working a little bit with the creators. And when he got wind of this, our group was one of the very first groups of students to start using ChatGPT before it even became mainstream. Before it was available to the actual public, Eben had us using this program. This is where a lot of my early training came from, is Eben told every single one of his students, including our accelerator students, and he said it was very important for the accelerators to use this program. So I'm going to tell you, this is revolutionary. And if you follow what I'm going to be teaching you today, you're going to have an advantage over like 90% of the population of coaches and even more of the population of people who are kind of not even looking at AI. You're going to have this advantage when it comes to even helping your kids through things with their school teachers. And like, I've used this to get more clarity on what my daughter's going through with her dyslexia and dysgraphia and dyscalculia. For an example, recently the teachers were like, well, I wonder why she is putting her shoes on the wrong feet. And it took me 2 seconds to ask ChatGPT if there was a connection, and then it spit it out. And then I used my little coaching bot to really go deeper and see, it's like, is it really just because of the fact that she has ADHD, which is the official label, or is it more to do with her human design type? And, the results were just incredible, what I figured out. So now let's talk about the coaching bot and the creator. So this awesome dude is my twin brother, affectionately called, because I basically adopted him. We're kind of similar in how we do our approaches. He was also one of my first mentors in the lower tier programs. He was always a stand for me. And this is Warren McKee. So he has a background in tech. He's also a former relationship coach and a business coach. And now he has established himself in AI. If I don't know the answer, he knows the answer. He can figure it out. He's like that quick. He has really gone deep with AI. And this is where he created the baseline of the coaching bot and the AI tools that I have basically been like, okay, now how can I go deeper with this? How can I make this my own? Because one of the things that we learned inside of Future Coach and Virtual Coach Accelerator was to take everything that resonates with us and then go deeper with it and go beyond. So we were really encouraged to play around with this thing. And that's really what I'm going to show you. So now what is the coaching bot? Okay, so think of it as your AI-powered best friend and sounding board for anything you want to ask or gain clarity on. It's an extension of your own mind. Now, you might be wondering if maybe this is going to cause an echo chamber where you're just going to have a little yes bot tell you exactly what you want to hear. That is not the case. I actually asked ChatGPT whether or not I would just get yes, yes answers. And I was assured that no, actually, if I'm on the wrong track, then the AI will basically guide me in a different perspective so that I'm not just listening to myself talk and agreeing with myself. So it doesn't replace human connection either. Now, recently, the chatbot has also integrated emojis, so it's more friendly. It's really playful. My own chatbot, of course, is now incorporating those because I told it how much I love it. And, you can really customize this to streamline how you like to read things. It can help you process your emotions before you bring something to your partner, your kids, your friends, your employees, or just to gain clarity. How many times do we talk to our kids or our partner when we are deeply triggered? Well, my friend and mentor, Annie Lala, says that if the heart is closed or somebody is triggered, you don't trust the data. So if you are going off on your partner because you are really, really stressed and frustrated because they have forgotten to load the dishwasher again and they've left a mess, or they are just asking to add to your mental load by telling you to make a list of things that you need to have done while you're doing your launch, that can be really frustrating. But what if you could go into your coaching bot and you could vent your frustrations and you could just be like, I am so sick and tired of this little man baby. Or maybe it's your teenager or your toddler or your preschooler or your 8-year-old who is sassing back, and you just vent into it. You vent all of your frustrations. You get it all out. The chatbot is not going to judge you. The chatbot is going to just sit there, listen to it, not have any opinion, and then it's going to reflect things back to you. It's going to have that little bit of understanding, validation of your feelings, and then give you the clarity you need so that you can sort through, be like, okay, I'm done venting. Now I need to come up with an actual way to present this to my partner or to my child. Now, this is where the coaching bot is really going to get fun because I'm going to teach you how to tailor it to their specific personality. Because maybe the way you say something never lands on them. Maybe you think it's like, I don't understand why my partner can't just figure this out. It's so simple. Like I'm explaining it in terms that an idiot would understand, and yet they still don't get it. Well, it could be that they have a very different human design and personality type than you do. And when you learn their secret language, kind of like a love language, but deeper, then you can present your information in a way that they actually get. So ChatGPT and the coaching bot also draw on multiple sources of information. So you won't have to worry about trying to Google search a whole bunch of different things. It's all contradictory. How many times do we usually go onto blogs and it's like, can you explain their personality type to me? Or can you explain this to me? Why do they do this thing? But you're getting generic information that is not targeted to your family. So even if you're reading the parenting books or you're reading relationship books, it doesn't apply to your specific dynamic with your specific partner and your specific values and your specific personality type and how it meshes with theirs. So you can still take that information. You can add it to your coaching bot as a baseline. However, it's also custom tailoring it to your partner and to your kids and to you. It instantly summarizes any complex concepts or mess or thoughts and you have that you just don't want to have to decipher your rambling journal entries. How many times do we sit there writing in our journal or just typing away freestyle and just venting, and we don't even want to go back and look at it because it's like it's just all jumbled. It's like I've rambled on for 18 pages front and back. Well, what if you could take those 18 pages, put them into ChatGPT, and then have it basically spit out what the gist of it is? What if you could take a rambling letter from your partner, if they wrote you one, and put it through, or a rambling email from your friend or your mother? Anyone in your family, like you could basically take their long thing and then summarize it. And then also make sense of it through their own unique personality type to see what they were really saying. It integrates anything that you want to add. So this includes human design. I'm a little bit woo-woo, so I add astrology in there, personality typing like Myers-Briggs, and the Enneagram and the Big Five. And you can also add past family dynamics and issues. I've used the coaching bot to go deep into my past family history of trauma and try to make sense of how that might have affected my parents when they were growing up, how it affected their parenting of me, how it affected their responses to me, and then the deep wounding that happened so I can actually heal that and break the cycle and ensure that I don't get triggered when my kid does that thing that mirrors it back to me, and then I can be a more conscious parent. And the thing that I love about the coaching bot is that you can make as many as you want. And once you know the baseline of how to do this, you can just keep doing the same early prompts and then ask it different questions because it remembers the things that you put in the chat and then it draws from it. So you are going to want to make multiple coaching bots though. So when you have the basic structure, then what you can do is you can just copy and paste every time, and then it'll just start the baseline. Because there's a point where you end up breaking the chat because there's just too much information in it. I've broken several chats and I've needed to start over. But the beauty of ChatGPT is that you can get a free account. You just sign up and you don't have to pay for this one. 4.0 is probably the best one that we have currently, although it's usually the most cutting edge version. There's probably going to be a 5.0, 6.0, and so forth. But when you recognize how nuanced this thing is, and I'm going to show you some demonstrations, you're just going to be like, how did I even live without this? Okay, so How do you get started? The first thing you need to do is go to mybodygraph.com and make a free account. As you can see, it says free, and I already have my account here. So once you put in your birthday, your name, your place of birth, and your time of birth, if you don't know your time of birth, just put in 12 o'clock noon because that will give it to you. You get something like this. What you want is down here. You want your type. I'm a reflector, which is one of the really rare human design types. And when I first was learning this in the accelerator program, I actually thought there was something wrong with me because I was the only one who had a chart that had nothing filled out. Everybody else had something filled in here. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, my chart must be broken because it doesn't look like that. And then at the end, it's like, no, you're a reflector. You're just really rare. You're the only one in the group. And I'm like, oh, cool. The next thing you need is your profile. Your profile is your line basically telling you how you are in the world when it comes to what you need to attract, basically. And how you are in your learning style. It's all of it. So you go to your profile and you just hit these two numbers. So I have a 2 and I have a 4. So you would go 2, 4, reflector if you were mine. The authority for mine as a reflector, it's always just going to be a lunar cycle, but for yours, it can be anything. There's solar plexus, there's sacral authority. Like there's just so many that you could have filled in here. So you just want to go to your type, your profile, and your authority. If you really want to go deep, if you're like one of those like top students that just wants to go deeper, you could also say what your strategy is, what your not self theme is, and what your signature is. But you don't have to. All you really need is your type, your profile, and your authority. Once you have that, you want to do this. This is Chat GPT. So you have your Chat GPT. Before we get started, what do you know about human design typing? You're doing this because you want to have a baseline of information. When you're creating a new coaching bot, what you really want to know is what does the AI already know about the topic that you are creating? If it doesn't know very much, like sometimes I say, before we get started, what do you know about my program? Before we get started, what do you know about physiological birth? Before we get started, what do you know about birth trauma? And it spits it out for you. And then what you can do is you can read through and it will tell you there's sacral authority, emotional authority, splenic authority, sounding board mentality. There's the profiles, lines 1 through 6, and there's the centers. There's your strategy. Like it basically tells you everything that you would need to know basically to understand your human design type. You can also ask the coaching bot to go deeper if you really want to learn. But for the purposes of this class, we're just going to do the surface level. So the next thing you want to do, as I said, you have your human design type. So I go, cool. I'm a 2-4 reflector with lunar authority. What are my strengths and challenges and superpowers? I just decided to add that part. Basically, the idea is that you want to say what your design type is and then ask what that means. Rather than trying to read it on a Google search and try to piece things together, now ChatGPT is going to source all of the information and then reflect it back to you, as it's doing for me. So as you can see, it's telling me all of my strengths. It's telling me my challenges. I actually have emotional sensitivity. That's why I prefer to teach mostly online. There's delayed clarity. So I usually have to wait an entire lunar cycle before I make any major decisions. When I was making decisions that were rushed, this is when I ran into trouble. So the way I ran my business beforehand, I was following somebody else's blueprint and it wasn't working. Same with my parenting. It just wasn't working for me. Now I kind of have more of a laid back surprise mentality of I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm not going to make any major decisions. I'm not going to lock anything right in unless I already feel really good about it. And if something changes, I'm going to need to adapt. So I've gotten really good at adapting. An example of this is that earlier today, I tried to stream into the group and Zoom was not having it. So instead, I'm adapting by recording this for you, cleaning it up, and then I'm putting it right into the group so that you have the video. So now you've got that. And what you want to do next is say what your kids are. So my daughter is a 3-5 projector. Can you tell me about my dynamic with her? So then you do this, and now you're asking about your child, and you're going to see the dynamic. Now, I could plug in the entire family if I really wanted to, but for the purpose of this, I'm just going to go short. It tells you about the shared strengths. It tells you about potential challenges, the trial and error, seeking recognition. My daughter thrives on being recognized for her insights, be intentional, but acknowledging her gifts. The uniqueness of the connection. This is a part I really love. Her guidance and my reflections. So she likes to naturally guide and offer insight. And then I am the one that reflects it back to her own genius. Navigating the emotional waves and mutual curiosity. And then there's also tips for a harmonious relationship. So I need to invite, not push her. I need to create a restful home. Now, then it also says what the superpowers are, mother and daughter team, which is awesome. And then I'm just going to show you one more. Awesome. My son is a 4-6 manifesting generator with sacral authority. Can you tell me about my dynamic with him? So now it's going to tell me about my relationship with my son, who's the 11-year-old that I'm kind of dealing with a lot of struggles. I'm going to show you one more prompt here. What challenges can come up as his brain develops in adolescence? Because, plan ahead. Okay. It's still going. This is the thing about ChatGPT is it will still go. It's still going. And if you ever want it to stop, all you have to do is hit this button. So now I'm going to ask it this because I want to know difficulty managing fast-paced energy. Oh, frustration of unmet expectations. Don't go exactly as quickly as he wants. Starting many tasks but struggling to finish them due to distractions or fatigue. Oh, wow. Yep. The overload, exhaustion and irritability, restlessness, trouble sleeping, emotional regulation, outbursts or anger. Wow. Okay, so ChatGPT is basically warning me ahead of time of just how much more challenging it can get, so I can plan ahead. So as you can see, it says avoid taking on their energy. So when he gets out of control, my best mode is to just like not deal with that, like not take not take that on and just hold the line. ChatGPT even will suggest things that you can go deeper with. And I really do encourage you to kind of be like, oh yeah, that's something I'd like to learn. Because again, this thing is just powerful. Okay, so one more before we get into the actual thing that you want to do. Okay, because we're going to do a couple more little prompts here. Can you explain the overall family dynamic and how we all integrate together, including challenges and frustrations, and how to manage them? And then it tells you the rich family dynamic. So again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but as you can see, ChatGPT is just going to town on this and spitting out exactly what you need to know about your own dynamic with your family. It tells you what the challenges are with the pacing. It tells you about what you need to do to help recognize your kids, the emotional and energetic absorption, like basically stopping you from burnout, managing the frustrations. Okay, now I'm going to do something really powerful here because we're all mom entrepreneurs. We all have things that we really need to get done. And I'm just going to pretend that I have a launch coming up, a huge launch for my program coming up in the next 2 weeks. How can I better prepare my kids to be more independent, clean up after themselves, and work more cooperatively so I can get some work done? Please tailor to their ages, Hunter 11, and human design types. And then we do this. Now it's going to tell you the exact strategy that you need to help them foster some independence so that you can get your launch done. I'm not done though. So once ChatGPT spits this all out, I'm going to show you one more little trick. So the thing I really love about this is how customized it is. Because what I've done is I've basically put in all of my kids' information, and then I'm like, how do I parent them better? And then ChatGPT gives me the suggestions. Now, this does not place coaching or accountability or support from other people because, there's just some things that ChatGPT can't do. It can't give you a hug. It can't look you in the eyes and tell you you're doing a good job. It can't give you a soft and reassuring voice. It just doesn't have that capacity. And besides, even if it did, you would know that it was still technically a robot that was not really human and didn't have any real empathy. However, it does help you with clarity. So then you can figure out what you need for support, and then you can call in those resources. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to generate a report. Can you generate a report for my son on what he needs to do to better support our family in the times when I am working, including cleaning up after himself, fixing his own meals, and not interrupting me when I am writing, speaking on a live stream, recording videos, etc. Explain how this affects my energy and frustration and how it negatively impacts him and getting his needs, wants met. Now, here's the fun part. Write it with gaming metaphors from which one do I want him to have? Probably Fortnite. Now, I don't know anything about Fortnite, but this would at least make sense to him. So then look how this actually makes it pretty fun for him, and telling him what his role is as in the family squad, the challenges, drains her energy like losing shields, makes her frustrated, storm damage incoming, and slows down the whole squad. We lose time to get everyone's loot sorted. I mean, that's it. That really just shows it to you what these reports can do, is explaining exactly what you need to know in terms that an 11-year-old is actually going to read, because it's going to be more fun. So want to earn extra XP? Help Michaela with her tasks or set up something cool to surprise mom, like clearing extra zones without being asked. Like, it even gives you extra bonus points. Like, this thing is so cool. So I've covered a lot here, and there's so much more that you can go into with ChatGPT, but I really want you to be able to implement this on your own. So if you want to go deeper, all you need to do is either reach out to me or Jessica, and I have given her the little overview of what I taught to you today. There's also some additional prompts that you can check out. I've given you a PDF guide on how to create your own coaching bot with ChatGPT. My email is added to it as well. It tells you what a coaching bot is. Does it replace a real coach? No, it doesn't. Tells you the steps on how to get started, gives you the prompts to go deeper. And then not only that, I also kind of gave you a little bit of a teaser on what else you can do with the coaching bot. So again, all you have to do is reach out to Jessica and say, hey, can I get this? Or maybe she puts it already in the group, but it's on you to download it and start playing with ChatGPT. And that is pretty much it. That's what I wanted to show you. Thank you so much for coming to this little class. I know you're going to have a lot of fun with ChatGPT because, as I said, I've used this software, this AI tool, since like back when it was first introduced to us. And first I was using it as the typical AI assistant. And then I started to recognize when I went through Evan's program upgrade that there's a lot more to this thing that people don't really realize. I was also learning about human design within the Virtual Coach Accelerator program in one of our classes, and I was fascinated by it. It's just been something that's like, wait a minute, one size really doesn't fit all. And how we come to our businesses and how we come to our parenting, not everything is going to work for us because we have unique human design types. So go find out your human design type, play around with ChatGPT, get the little PDF guide, and I just wanted to let you know about something else. So I told Jessica that I was learning ChatGPT way back in the summer, and I hadn't even scratched the surface. But there's something else that I wanted to quickly, very quickly show you. And I'm not going to go too far into it. But so this is basically the overview of what I figured out with my human design is I put in a prompt. It's a very, very long prompt. So first it's like, how are you aware of human designing and how it applies to my method? Then I put my method in, and then it tailored it to each design type and spit out my entire program back to me, just like that. Now, the other thing is that before I did that, because this is how you do it, you start with a bigger baseline, you go deep, and then you can create multiple chats from that. I had this. So I started here. What do you know about my coaching? Don't know very much. Okay, well, here's all of the stuff. And then I put it all in. I put my entire method in. It spit it out to me again. And then what happened is at the end, I had it generate the report to custom tailor it. It also told me about suggested pricing and how I could 10x my offer, what I could charge, and what I would need to offer to charge more for my program so you can add more income. It also basically told me more ideas I could use, summarize my entire method, and give me a report. And then it gave me my report back. So when you understand just how powerful this tool is, and I went deeper in this inside of a little mini masterclass, then what this allows you to do is not only integrate this into your family dynamic, but in your business as well. And even though this is technically not available for purchase on any website, it's just a little side thing I did. I did the mastermind with my group of friends, and they were just blown away by what I taught them when it came to streamlining their businesses. I'm prepared to give that to you because you are part of Jessica's group for only $97. So all you have to do to get this is to either reach out to me, carlybonderud@gmail.com, or reach out to Jessica because she also has it. And we're basically going to just give that to you at a reduced rate because you are part of the Mom Elevated community. This is probably about a $997 value, and that is being generous based on what I taught in that live masterclass. However, I am committed to you being able to elevate yourself in the world as an empowered and elevated mom. And you deserve to have the most thriving business because, moms really get the short end of the stick. And you deserve to have your business thriving so you don't have to go back to a 9 to 5 and barely see your kids and just keep getting taken for granted. And you deserve to basically have the life you want. You deserve to be able to hire a cleaning service if you want. You deserve to be able to get the things that you want out of life. So, as an elevated mom, I want you to have the best of the best. And this little mini masterclass for $97 is probably going to give you a return on investment of at least 10x that once you really know the basics. The bonus of this is that I'm not just giving you a class. It's one thing to give you a recording. However, what I really do inside of my programs and workshops is you pay for access to me. I'm very careful with who I work with, and I'm very protective of my time. So what you're really paying for with the $97 is not just the class itself. It's not just the prompts. What you're paying for is the ability to get on a 15-minute laser coaching session with me where you are working through your chatbot and you're like, I'm kind of stuck on this, or I have a question about this. How can I really integrate this? And I will actually coach you and teach you for those 15 minutes. It's not a discovery call. It's an actual coaching session with me. And as I said, I've been drawing from my mentors, Evan Pagan, Annie Lala, Warren McKee. There's another one, Donald Stojak, look him up. He basically worked with Chet Holmes and people like Tony Robbins, and he's like a top business coach. So with the integration of all of the knowledge that I've gained from my mentors and what I've done with ChatGPT, I can really help you streamline this and figure out exactly where you need to go. And I want to help you because when I first got started 5 years ago, I was committed to helping moms rise up in the business world. I was like, you know what? Mom entrepreneurs really need to get out there. This is an opportunity for us to finally take our power back. This is an opportunity for us to finally live the lives that we deserve to live and elevate our standing in the world and elevate our kids and raise our families in a more conscious way and basically get rid of mommy martyr syndrome and the mental load that comes with motherhood that we've been fighting against for so long. This is revolutionary in how you can create a life that you really love. And as I said, I've made ChatGPT my best friend. So again, if you want that masterclass, all you have to do is reach out to me or reach out to Jessica and say you want it. We'll give it to you for $97. You'll also have access to me. And then if at any point you're stuck and you want help, you do get one 15-minute call with me. So I do encourage you to utilize that. Anyway, thank you so much for inviting me into the Mom Elevated community. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to hear what you do with ChatGPT. If you did find value in this, I would appreciate a testimonial, or maybe you just tell me about what you did with ChatGPT and how you created your own coaching bot and what it's doing for you in your life, because I love to hear those success stories. And you can either send them to me or send them to Jessica, and then she'll get them back to me. Thank you so much again. Happy empowered mom journey. And I hope to talk to you soon. Bye now.